Beauty Blend podcast, where we're delving deep into the world of beauty from the inside out. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Brittany.
We're happy to have you here. And we are so excited because today we have a guest, Amy.
Yay!
And we're going to let her kind of tell you guys a little bit about herself. So go ahead and just kind of give us an idea of your background.
Yes. So my name's Amy Ziemer. I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I've been in the beauty and aesthetic industry, going on, I think I'm in my 14th, 15th year going on in this industry. And I have been all for it from the start. So I love all things beauty, wellness, all the umbrellas that can encompass. And I am a licensed COS, which encompasses an Estee license up in Michigan. So I do my fair share of, skincare analysis, consultations, things like that. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
What was your first job in the beauty industry?
Yeah. So out of COS school, I got hired by the school.
Okay.
So I got hired by the school. It was an Aveda Institute to do their sales, recruiting, and admissions. And so I worked with, parents and students that were deciding what to do next. They, a lot of, at that time, I think it was like in the later, 2010s, or 2000, right before 2010, parents weren't sure of
that was
the
a rough
industry. It was
time.
It was interesting.
The recession was
Yes, it was right after 2008.
Yeah.
And so there was some,
People probably weren't
recession
spending money
vibes.
as much on their
Right.
lives. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, the social media wasn't as relevant. So it was just kind of, talking through things with parents, making sure that, students were choosing right and that they knew that there could be a future for themselves. And, since we're primarily a female-based industry as a whole, like a lot of us make up the, I think that it's something like an alarming, like an 85 to 90% of the industry is made up by females. I'm sure that statistic has changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
It was fun. I worked there for a few years before.
How old were you? You said from the beginning you were starting. So were you fresh out of high school? Or?
No. So I had wanted to do COS school right after high school, but that wasn't happening. There was lots of reasons why. I was the oldest of four, so that wasn't really happening. I went to school, traditional school, and then I was in actually investment banking. In my 20s when I had my older kids. So then I decided I wasn't seeing them enough and I needed to do something with flexibility, which is what, it offered. So I was 27.
Oh, wow.
26, 27.
And you had kids too when you went
And
to
I had
school.
two littles.
Wow.
Yeah, they were 1 and 0.
Did you go part-time or full-time?
I went part-time. So I was working during the day and then home when I could. And then I was going to night school.
Awesome.
So it was cool. I was 15 months. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in your 20s, you're full of it.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
when you're
that's true.
20s.
That's true. The
I
energy.
didn't even feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
So you really just made the switch, or you already knew you kind of wanted to be in a cosmetology, but you didn't do it because of just life. And then later you wanted flexibility, so you chose to go back.
Yes.
Later. Okay.
Exactly.
Cool.
Like I knew I
That's
wanted.
kinda like me. Similar to me.
Putting the pieces
I'm
together.
35 when I went to school.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like
Nothing
there's always
else
time
is
for a
doing it
change.
for
You're
you.
just all, I love it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite service that you provided as?
Oh, I loved skin. Anything skin. I was back in the spa most
I
of the
feel
time.
too.
Yeah, it was great. And I
Like
loved
facials
being back
and
there.
all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Facials, stress relieving treatments. It was very zen
Cool.
back there. And I had a fair amount as a student. Like I had a fair amount of people that would see me that I, could see afterwards, when I was done with school. So I really liked all aspects of skin, and, making sure that everybody felt fresh and relaxed. And it's, like I said, it's such an umbrella that it goes along with everything. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you guys feel very similar.
Yeah,
in
and I
that
feel like this
situation.
kind of could be a loaded question, but did you have any skin issues that made you interested in the aesthetic side, or are you starting as you've kind of been in it or aging, feeling like some things have come up along the way, or what kind of intrigued you?
Actually, now that you're saying that, it was interesting being one of the older students at 27 years old.
Yeah.
Everybody was 18
Same.
to 20. Yeah, so I felt like
the
that
fresh
I did
face.
have skin issues.
I know,
Even though, looking back, I'm like, I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, compared to 18-year-olds.
Right, compared to
Yeah.
18-year-olds.
it is
Yeah,
different.
I think it was mostly just I was starting to look, I was a mom, so I was also starting to look like, I wasn't getting a ton of rest. My kids were very little. Like I probably wasn't drinking enough water because I was,
Running
busy
around.
and things like that. But I also, I had acne as a, as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was what I was like, really focused on. And my, genetically, like my skin isn't wonderful, but I think I was kind of going after that a little bit too, just seeing what I could do.
Awesome. So did you still struggle with acne up until you went back to school, or had it gotten better?
No, it had gotten better. It had gotten better, like right before I had my kids, it had gotten a little bit better, but I still I'm dealing some like with residual scarring and things like that, which is, it's a process.
We have a very similar story.
It's a process. And so many people are.
Yeah.
So skin is meant to be textured. It's just like, you want to be the best version.
Absolutely. Exactly. I totally agree. So obviously we know how we met you and how you come into our lives, but do you want to tell everybody what you do currently and and how you kind of got into this?
Absolutely.
As well? Yeah,
definitely. So I'm a practice consultant for a medical device company that, you guys have been such an awesome part of that journey for me, like just being able to come into practice and work with you and work with Doc. It's been amazing. So I've been doing this for practice consulting for a while, on the aesthetic side of things, just sales coaching, managing, and things like that. But in the Michigan, Ohio territory, going on 2 years in November.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yes, I'm excited.
That's
Thanks.
huge.
It's fun. It's so fun.
That's
and
exciting.
really helping. I think really helping providers and owners who are passionate about our industry and really, realizing what success they could have in the industry, that like gives me all the feels. Yeah.
Watching
and just,
them grow,
and making sure,
sure.
exactly. Yeah. Like making sure that, steps to achieve it, and then just watching growth. And absolutely. I think it's an awesome field.
That's pretty cool. So let's just talk about working in the beauty industry.
Cool.
You got a question?
Yeah. Okay. No, I was kind of going to say, I know we wanted to talk about aging as a big topic. And I know a lot of the devices that Alma has kind of relate to the aging. Which goes with the beauty industry. Do you have a specific question though about?
No, I was just going to kind of dive into what she feels like it is, what it's like to work in the beauty industry, and anything that kind of brings up for you.
Yeah.
Like any insecurities?
Yeah. So the beauty industry is interesting because it's constantly evolving. Like, so there's always something new. It's like buying a new iPhone. There's always the next one coming up right behind it. So it's kind of like moving really fast and making sure that what's happening in practices are like the staples of what works in the industry. So in terms of, aging and what I'm seeing out there, like anti-aging is such.
I hate that term. Can we call it age management? Because we're always aging.
Like you're going to age.
We age from the time we're born. So like, I literally want to get rid of the word anti-aging.
I know. It's just going to happen.
Age management is what I like to say.
I love that. It's a perfect term, age management.
Like
it's happening. We're going forward with aging. I think with, a lot of aesthetic device, even in my previous life, with a lot of aesthetic device, a lot of people will be like, well, how long are the results? How long do they last? Like, what is the deal? Like, when will I have to come back in? How long do, the results again last? Yeah. What I always say to that is, well, the results are permanent, but we age forward. And that's okay. Like it's honest, like what we're doing at home, what we're doing in practice. And it's just like having, again, that wellness umbrella.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think that there's, it is a full, like holistic wellness approach.
Yeah.
But I don't use anti-aging. It's just like, it is tough.
Yeah. It's tough.
What does that mean?
It's for us, I'm going to kind of use, we've talked about this before, is we feel like you're it's like a hamster on a wheel. You're trying to keep up on not aging, and where does the cycle end, right? Like where does it kind of end? And at least I always talk about, and you kind of said it, like, I'm afraid I'm going to go too deep in the weeds. So I almost don't do much of the procedures, because I'm like, the second I start one, I'm afraid I'm never going to stop.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's
so
how
many
you
gateways.
Feel.
There's so many gateways.
That's what
body dysmorphia, really.
It really is.
And so I'm like, I want to find. I feel like I have found it currently, but I'm like, I want to make sure I've maintained a fine line of like, this is great preventative, keep my skin healthy and glowing, but also knowing I'm going to continue to age.
Totally.
And that's okay. Totally. It's okay. I don't have to look 20 at 60 years old. And that's
and that's the thing. Yeah. No, it's so true. I was just watching this thing on Instagram where it was like, okay, what do you think you are? Like, it was like a rate yourself. It's like, it's a guy who's like, hey, rate yourself. What do you think you are? They're like, well, I think I'm an 8. They're like, you sure about that? And then they go and, ask somebody else. And he doesn't, he's super cool. Like, and they just kind of are like, oh, okay, it's not like anything. But there are some people who are interviewed on there that are like, you're a 10, I'm a 10, and I'm sure about it. And it's like loving that. And so I really like to watch that. Like for Mojo, because it's like, if you get Botox, if you get filler, any sort of injectable, no, you're not going to look 20 again, but you'll look like your skin is doing what it can for the age that you are. So like, it's just about, keeping yourself feeling good, like from the inside out, and whatever that looks like to you. I think that's
we
really
got to talk
personal.
about the injectables.
Yeah,
I mean, I've had Botox. That's about as far as I've gone.
Yeah.
You haven't had anything yet, but do you mind telling us like what you've had?
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So I've had Botox for a long, long time. So Botox for, I would say it started when I was 30.
That's actually not that bad though.
Yeah. It was
new. At like 20.
Yeah. It was like newer on the market to aesthetic. When I started with neurotoxin, and then
how often do you have to get it?
I do every 3 months.
Every 3.
I do.
I'm on the dot.
Yeah,
crawling back in.
Very Shrek. They get very. But also, it's like I can just tell when my face needs it. Like now,
so she's like ready to go.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't wait.
Yeah,
I start itching about a week or 2.
Me too. Yeah, I'm like something's different, but I don't know what it is.
Oh, I can see the difference.
Can you? Oh my gosh, I'm always like my eyes play tricks. No. I'm like, what is going on? And then I remember my appointment.
I'm blissfully ignorant.
It's so true. But the 3-month marker I think is pretty good. When I'm when I'm consulting with practices that do Botox and filler, any sort of injectable, I always have either the desk staff or the provider know what is 10 to 12 weeks out, just so they can appropriately book, especially if they're trying to, rebook, pre-book, and then just to keep everybody, fresh for what their next thing is, come back in at their 2-week follow-up. But yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. And then I've had lip filler.
Okay. When did you get that?
But a year and a half ago.
Oh, okay.
A year and a half ago.
I feel like it really blew up in the last 3 or 4 years.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Especially in the last year or two. I feel like that's especially when I've noticed it the most.
Well, and there's so many things that you can do with it and so many techniques. And then they go to master courses for, the injectors do for, lip filler and, for the 360 face and, facial balancing, 8-point lift.
Oh my gosh. Have you done the facial balancing?
No, I want to. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it and it's so cool.
Yeah.
Threading, lips, fillers, cheeks,
I might step out of this comment.
Yeah, no. It's so cool to see it done.
No,
and the results are immediate.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool because you can see something different and then they just progress. Like Sculptra's huge right now. So lots of those collagen, remodelers that are happening. Those are cool in the field.
Explain that for people that don't know what that is.
Yeah, I even myself.
Because I think I've heard of it, but I'm not really.
Yeah. So it just uses your own. It gets injected and then your body uses its own self to reproduce the collagen. It's like a match to a fire.
Gotcha.
So it's already in there. It's just starting to rebuild the natural collagen.
Okay.
Yep. So that's being used quite widely in the aesthetic field. It's awesome.
I'm hearing it a lot. For sure.
It's really cool. So that's probably what's newest on the market. Also anything lashes, lashes, but people are, interestingly enough, they're not moving away from the extensions, but there's been equal interest in those and a Lashify, or a Latisse based product. So, they're trying to grow their own, but the eye area is always huge. I mean, for aesthetic practices and just just making sure that we're, when we look at each other, that we're seeing, the best each other.
Yeah.
You're seeing yourself in the best light.
Right. So you've had Botox and filler.
Yeah.
Wait, where's the filler?
I'm sorry.
I did have just lip filler.
Just lip filler?
Just lip filler. I don't have cheek filler.
Okay.
I don't have anything in my face. Besides that, I'm not opposed to it. I've been noticing that I can get pretty good results with, sort of pre-jowling with Botox too.
Okay.
Barbie Tox is huge. I haven't tried that yet.
What's that?
But it's also
trending
all
because
kinds
of
of stuff.
Nope, it's trending because of the movie,
have.
but it's Trap Tox. But that's more, it elongates the neck. It's supposed to help posture. That's what's kind of buzzing right now. And again, Barbie Tox is because of the tag of the elongation of the neck. Yep. There's lots going on.
There we go.
I know.
Took us a minute.
And there's always somewhere that Botox can go. It's
See, they're always.
There's obviously it's exhausting just to listen to for me because I'm like, where would I? Okay,
I know it's where would you start?
Where would you start? Yeah, if someone was interested, where would you have them start? Would it be a Botox? If someone was interested in just doing more.
Yes.
And they already do facials and, skin, like me. Let's just say me. I want to start. And I already do medical grade skincare. I do facials regularly.
Okay.
I do some other lasers every now and then.
Yep.
If I was wanting to kind of get a little
working.
deeper.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely working.
You think Botox, though, is the first
I would do a
step?
sprinkle.
a sprinkle of Botox?
Just a little baby.
Just
okay.
Yeah,
right here.
I'm a big fan of sprinkle. I think a lot of people go, personally, this is just my personal, don't come for me. Yeah. I think a lot of people overdo the filler once they start because they know, I've heard that it takes 6 to 12 months for it to dissolve, but that's not always the case, that it could actually take longer. Yes. So people keep going, and then it gets to the point where it's, I don't know. And you might know this better than me, but I've read that filler can migrate or like can create kind of like a moon face.
Overfills can.
Overfills
can, for sure. That's where just like, I mean, the whole concept of aging just really circles out because it's like, you don't have to do that.
Right, exactly.
You know,
that's kind of
also we get this perception of like more.
Yeah.
It's like being blonde. Like nobody ever thinks they're blonde enough. You know, so
that's
kind of what
really
it is. It's
example.
like, well, this piece or this piece. And I think just as women, you know, we, I think we need to take a step, you know, back and actually kind of start where you're starting, 100%. Which is like the facials, the peels, just like, you know, because once you commit, you're committed, you know, and then it just, it's hard. It's hard to pedal back.
Yeah.
That's kind of what put me. I'm like, I feel like once I start, it doesn't stop. So I'm like,
it's so true.
Try everything else first. But then you also hear the balance of like, you don't want to wait too long because.
But honestly, having good like foundation with your skin, like, so say for me, I still have quite a bit to work on. If I go get a bunch of filler, it's actually going to make me look a little messed up because my skin isn't like smooth. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I feel like you kind of got to work on like the foundation and then like a little here and there obviously will look nice, but like if you don't have a good foundation, it's kind of like with makeup. Like
smart.
If you don't have a good foundation with your skin, like it doesn't, like some people will put on the same makeup as you and it looks amazing, but if your skin's not vibing,
which is
it's not going to glow as well.
It's so true, which is why when you know, a lot of times there is a demographic of patients who just in the field, like as I've seen over years, who just even working in medical aesthetics practices where they do think that they can achieve a certain result with filler. Mm-hmm. But if they're over a certain, you know, a lot of times over a certain age, as we lose, you know, collagen and laxity and things like that, it hasn't been rebuilt. We can't hold the filler. You know, it's hard to hold the filler once you're older to get the result that you're thinking that you'll get. So really, starting with, you know, medical grade skincare for sure, just as you know. And then of course, making sure that you're doing your maintenance peels and maintenance exfoliation in between laser treatments. And then I would, you know, doing series of laser treatments for different targeting, you know, lines, wrinkles, laxity. You can even do certain areas.
Oh my gosh, I'm a big
So like people focus on the neck a lot lately. Neck
laser.
And neck.
Oh yeah, lasers.
So it's cool.
No, laser's my thing. Because I feel like lasers really help you like improve without changing your face. Does that make sense? Like it gives you like your natural.
It's so true.
Amplifies your natural beauty in my opinion.
That's right. And it's just like, you know, as makeup, and again, like we're seeing the trend in makeup is now a little bit more tinted moisturizer, a little bit more sheer. It's not a full coverage. More natural. It's a little bit more, we're a little bit more of a full coverage demographic when we're in Michigan and Ohio just because of winter and seasons. So like we do as a population tend to change our makeup just slightly more than what I've,
that makes sense.
You know, than what's out there. And so in terms of that, you know, full coverage, people still do want that dewy look. They want it to be fresh and young and youthful. And a matte, you know, full coverage can do that. It's also not letting your skin breathe. So, you know, once your skin gets used to breathing, things heal. And it's really about, again, the wellness, the healing, all of that. Yeah.
Do you feel like people, both of you kind of, who start with Botox and filler, do you feel like they start to fall off with everything else like facials and skincare? Like, because they feel like, oh, that fixed it, so I don't do as much maintenance. Do you feel like because they've invested all this money, people tend to stay up with everything else? Does that question make sense?
That's a good question.
I'm kind of curious if people are like, oh, fixed, don't need to do anything else. Or if they have a better foundation not doing all that. Because like me, I'm like, I will do anything. I like die by the throne on my skincare to prevent having to do Botox. So I'm kind of curious.
It's going to serve you. It's going to serve you.
Yeah. I'm just curious. I guess we don't really have the answer to that.
Think?
Well, I was thinking, I feel like maybe if they haven't ever started, are they, I don't know if they might end up being, they might because they see the difference in the, but I don't know if they're as likely, like if they already have the habit of going, they'll probably keep going, but I don't know.
If they just jump into Botox and haven't done much else, they may not do everything else.
Yeah. I think once people see the, you know, the smoothing effects of Botox are insane.
I know.
Like, that's what I love. Of any neurotoxin, it's like, that's what I like. And so like you can, so I don't think I see people fall off, but I do see, you know, people going home and using, you know, more of the medical grade skincare products and doing more home maintenance than in maybe not more.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, people do want to protect their investment too. So it all kind of comes full circle. Like I know for me, when somebody gives me a really good consultation, they're like, okay, now you need to come back for this.
Right.
Like I'll book out just so I stay on track with myself.
Yeah.
And that's really, what ideal is.
I think kind of opens the door to those other I don't know if more expensive is the right word, but like higher quality treatments. I think
I
when
agree.
you start to get injections and stuff.
Yes, it's so
more
smart.
open to doing it.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because you see one thing works, so some other things have to work too.
That's right. Yeah, it all goes together.
Yeah.
It really does.
Are there any certain lasers that you do, and how often do you do them?
Oh my gosh. So yes. So I do Opus, Alma Opus, plasma. I think this year I've done it 3 times. I did a series of 3. Yes. I also did a hybrid, Alma hybrid, which was our traditional CO2. It's insane. It's
I really want that.
so good. And the resurface, yes. And like in terms of in terms of result, I do like Opus because I can see immediate tightening results. Like I can see tightening, I can see lifting, like I know what it's doing. And also, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Opus for like all of its goodness. The body tightening, I had it done on stretch marks, which was great for kids. So I saw results in 1 treatment there. I'm seeing a lot of it with hair removal just because, once you are hairless in a certain spot, or if you're working on being hairless, like underarms or, in terms of even the face, even legs or bikini line, you can tighten certain areas too. So I think that's great. Hybrid, obviously a CO2 is wonderful. What else have I done? Oh, I've done our Awake Lipo a number of times, which is awesome.
Love that.
Yes, I 15 out of 10 recommend.
Yeah.
If not more, I can't say enough good things about it. But
especially post babies.
I know post babes, it's hard, especially post. My older kids are 16, 14, and then 2.
Yeah.
So when I was 38, it was just not coming like it did when I was in my 20s and in hair school. So it's insane. Like I would never have imagined that I would have gotten that result.
Right.
And really that was kind of like in a snowball into taking better care
that's good.
of what I was doing and how I was sleeping and what I was putting in my body. And like it was really about like protecting the investment is what it started off as. But then it was also like just health it. It was just like be healthy. Like this is why you're here. You're here, and so yeah, that's kind of cool.
So that kind of answers partly with my Botox question. You put a service, it was for your body, and you actually were more motivated to maintain after.
Yeah.
So maybe people with Botox are more motivated now when we try all these other things to maintain what I just paid for.
It's so true.
So
I have a question about like postpartum. Did you ever have issues? I don't want to say issue, I guess that's the wrong word, but like trouble like losing baby weight, or did you kind of like what was your experience like?
Yeah. So I mean, just for in my experience, I think when I had my kids in my 20s, I was able to come back to where I was before. But
quicker, probably.
Yeah, like just normal. Just being in your 20s, you're like everything's all good. Like right, the ultimate aging management is like your 20s.
Just stay 20.
I know, just bless. And then 38 and having the baby, it just wasn't happening. Like it just wasn't going to happen. It wasn't happening as fast as I wanted it to. I did have gestational diabetes for all of the kids.
Oh, wow.
So I was on insulin management for that. And even eating, diabetic diet afterwards, it wasn't, doing anything.
Yeah.
So I waited for a good year and some to have my first go, just to make sure that like my eyes weren't playing tricks or like, I couldn't do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like just what else can I do? And I would give it kind of 3-month increments. Oh, and of course the hormone shift is insane.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. And as we age forward, it's just different. It's just so different. My body was like, I didn't recognize it. So I think that
interesting about the hormones, because I'm experiencing that too. Within the last, I want to say probably almost a year now, the hormones changing. I think it's just being 35. It
really is.
And I'm like, well, what's going on here? And I'm like, stop.
I know. Stop it.
Yeah. So
no, it is a stop.
But it is like, because it's like my lifestyle really didn't change. My eating habits didn't change.
No.
But my body was changing. And I'm like, what is going on here?
Right. It is kind of unexpected too. Like you think just from hearing it and educating ourselves on like, what we do as women. But it just kind of still comes like a freight train. You just don't expect it.
I don't even know if people really talked about hormones, for me at least, in my growing up.
Yeah. I actively have sought information because I've struggled with my hormones. I'm very
For how
engaged
long?
since I was since I started my period, honestly.
Really?
From day one. So I was seeking that information, but I agree, like this, and I feel like it does happen abruptly to a lot of people, and they're just all of a sudden like, wait a minute, why is this?
Yeah.
Let's just say your lower abdomen is where a lot of people tend to,
where mine
gain a little
started.
weight. And like, why is that there all of a sudden?
Yeah.
I was actually just talking to a friend of mine, and they're now in their like 60s, but one of them used to just be completely flat in a bikini, and I think they're actually in their 50s, but they're still like, they're shocked because they're like, what happened? When did I become the person who couldn't wear a bikini and feel
that was me?
Yes.
And it's almost like shocking, right?
Yeah.
And like it's taken aback because you're like, I never looked like this. And again,
I had to buy a one piece. So I was like, wait a minute.
Oh my, yeah.
Thankfully, those are in now.
I know.
So
thank
goodness. I got there's some cute ones. But I used to be that person that would be completely confident in a two-piece and no problems, but now it's just like
I know. And it does, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. But I agree, we talk a lot about the hormones and how it's almost frustrating because there's not direct guidance necessarily on what to do, I feel like.
No.
And you hear a lot, depending on who you talk to, and even different doctors, they all have kind of different guidance on where to go, and it can kind of be a lonely process depending on what you're seeking.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's true. I was at the doctor recently, and he was talking about, I feel like as I've gotten older and had the baby, too, that my like PMS is worsened. It's gotten way worse. Like those 1 to 2 weeks, like I'm myself for maybe a period of like 4 days.
I've actually heard that from people.
And it's like, it's wild because, I was asking what to do, and you get all in your head about it, and you're not sure, what to do, which hormones, again, were offered. And I know there's, traditional, ring, patch, pill, and all of that. But there are other options like Biotee, like the bioidentical hormones are, supposed to be amazing. I haven't looked totally into those yet and gotten panels as to what I would need. But I know so many women are doing that. And they really do mirror the hormones we have. They're not synthetic.
Yeah,
that's what
so they're safe. So, I was going to look towards that, but hormones, I mean, they're so powerful. They're very powerful as we age.
So powerful.
Yeah.
Talked about enough. Do you feel like though, once you did the Awake Lipo, did that help kind of bring back your confidence post baby, or do you feel like you're still kind of like trying to re-identify?
Yes. I feel like I'm still trying.
Yeah.
Like, because it definitely brought back a lot of like what I could wear pre-baby.
Yeah.
Like it brought back a lot of that because the results are immediate. So like I encourage, anybody who's like, you know what, I'm just it's a shape changer. It's not a weight loss. It's not part of weight loss. It's like it changes your shape. So I encourage, even people who work out, like all the time.
Have a pretty good body, yeah.
Right. They still have areas of things they want to work on and areas of fat. Exactly. That they're like, okay. So, I was able to have very little downtime. I think it was less than a day of actual downtime. Like I was working, the next day from home. But I think that it's such a good option. And I really was like, yes, like, thank you. Thank you. This it felt like such a more confident jumping off point than where I was before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was more, instilling confidence. Yeah. I'm still like, I'm like an extroverted introvert just by nature.
I always say that about myself too. I'm like a weird mix.
Yeah, it's like a weird mix. Like I could be totally fine like over here.
Yep, same.
And exactly. And just like as an observer.
Oh, I love to observe.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I know, like, what is this?
Crowd. Like I'm better more like small groups.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we thrive in this.
I know. I'm way better like that than I am in I just
time.
kind of like, so I think confidence wise it's great.
Yeah. Now, do you think, I'm going to bring back the beauty industry, but do you think working in that has made any of that worse for you in terms of confidence? Or do you think you've been in it for a little while, so I don't know if you feel like it affects you still.
I mean, we
go to these conferences.
Yeah.
I've been to these conferences.
Oh my gosh.
We are all surrounded by 12 out of 10.
I
right?
know.
Like,
everybody just
stunning.
Looks so beautiful and so amazing. And like they're dressed to the nines.
Yeah.
Like everybody just looks so good.
And you know that I want to call it judging because I'm not assuming everyone's judging, but we know what you can do to fix things.
Well,
so you kind of wonder like, oh, are they looking at me saying, oh, she needs this, and this?
Yes.
And that's where I'm like, are they looking at me like I could help her here, here, and here? I just, you kind of get worried about that walking around. Is that something that kind of affects you?
No. I don't think I think of what they can like fix, but I also know that just from being like, oh yeah, like this would be awesome for you. Like I know that just from being a provider.
Gotcha.
But I think like, yeah, everybody just looks so good. I think, and we're hiring younger people in the industry and like go them. Like I'm all for it. Like I feel super fine being the age that I am in our industry, but it's definitely like, it's a self-talk sort of thing. Like, okay, well, that's not going to be me. And like, you have to, whereas if I were even like in my young 30s, I'd be like, wow, I could really like, that could be me. I want to do that to my hair. Or I want to do that to my skin, or I want, this or that. But now I don't.
Right.
Now I think I'm like, oh my God, good for you. Like, you go.
You go, girl.
Like, I support. Yeah, totally. Like, I support. You look amazing. Where did you get that? Like, that's
the energy we need more of, for sure.
Just like, I am totally
don't
gatekeep.
Yeah, don't gatekeep.
Yeah, no.
Or like, don't judge if someone doesn't want to do her thing.
That's right.
That's right. Do you, right?
And I know. I don't tend to like.
That's great.
And I'm not like competitive by nature either. So like, I think that, in our industry, we also, there's a competitive, it's competitive. It can be ego driven. And I just think like, you have to step back from that a little bit and be like, okay, well, this is who I am. And this is, this is what I look like. Yeah. And like, how can I, just be the best version. Just the best version. And everybody's a 10. Everybody's a 10, right?
Everyone's a 10.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Just get myself. No, just kidding. No, that's amazing. We definitely need more mindset like that, and I think everywhere. Not even just in the industry and the whole world, honestly. But do you have any advice or anything for our viewers in terms of it could be in skincare or how to boost their confidence or anything that you do at home that kind of helps, whether it's skincare, confidence, whatever?
Oh, no, I think that's great. I would say like for parents in terms of what I would do for, as I raise teenagers now. So what I would say for parents is I've always kept like, a sticker on the mirror, like wherever they'll be looking at themselves so that they're always looking at something that says something like more grown up than they would think, like confidence looks good on you. Like something like that, where it's not like a checklist of things they have to do. It's just like, something affirming. Exactly. Yeah. So I think like for parents, those things are helpful because kids they're aware, but they're not going to tell you they're aware, especially teenagers. So I think as a parent, like that's what I would say. Also, just being like doing what you want to do. And just like being, self-assured. I think, being self-assured and just like the self-talk has to be there before anything is going to look good. Like you have to tell yourself, what?
We not say that the whole
last
episode.
It's nice to hear someone else say it.
Yeah. That was like
you can do everything you want on the external, but it's not what you do on the inside.
And people can tell. Yeah. Like if you, you know what I mean? Like nothing is going to make you feel as good as your self-talks to yourself.
And I think like people read energy. So like if you walk in the room, I don't know, like I just feel like people can feel like someone's presence. So if you feel confident, even if you don't, by society standards, not look at. You've seen some like girls or guys that walk in, you're like, but just their energy is attractive.
That's right.
I mean?
Or people, this is a bad example. People joke like, how did that girl end up with him? Well, he had so much confidence, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares? Yeah. Personality for one matters.
Personality.
Confidence, they can see that. So,
yeah,
that's amazing.
And I think just not taking, the outside world, people can say a million things about you and then you can digest a million things, or you can just tell yourself what you think about you.
Right.
So like if you go off what other people are saying or judging or like thinking or like the look up and down, anything like that, it's just too hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. And like, that's really the anti-aging that I like to talk about is like anti-aging is just like making yourself like, self-talking into who you want to be, just self-talking into what you are.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I would say.
Yeah. So where could our viewers find you?
Oh my gosh. Well, my Instagram is Lala Amy Lee. LALA Amy Lee. And so I tend to do a lot of work in my stories, and I tend to post a lot of my kids in the grid.
We love that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Well, if they have any questions, they'll probably reach out.
Yeah, I love that. That would be great.
Coming.
Thank you. We're so happy to have you today.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
beauties.
Foxland Media. Think big.